So why would you go against your deepest intuition that child molestation is wrong? Why would you go against that?
Jon, there is no objective answer to whether child molestation is wrong.
Okay, so I've heard this one. I do feel like what happens when we get into these conversations about moral subjectivity or moral objectivity is that a moral objectivist will pose a question like that, which is so emotionally charged that it basically makes me feel and look like a horrible person if I say that I don't think it's objectively wrong. It feels to me like an emotional appeal to try and convince me that I'm a bad person if I say that. I think that my feeling on that is that something, like I've said earlier, something can be subjective and still be very real and be very impactful in life. And so I would say that I think my feeling that, harming children is wrong, I suspect that it's subjective, but I hold it really strongly. Do you know what I mean?
This is one thing I don't really understand in your position, because
please poke back at me.
It seems so obvious that it's objectively morally wrong. Why would you suggest it's subjective when it seems so obvious it's objective? Why? I don't get it.
I think if there is no God, it can't be objective.
Right, I know, but you've already said there is reasonable arguments for God, whether it's the fine-tuning or the kalam or other arguments. So why wouldn't you say, well, this is just another argument for God? I might not know who this God is, but why? I mean, this doesn't get you all the way to Christianity again. This just gets you to God. So why would you go against your deepest intuition that child molestation is wrong? Why would you go against that when you even have other evidence that this being might exist?
Well, I think I somewhat come back to your our discussion on reason, that it's impossible for me to get out of my own head, right? So,
I don't think that's true. I think we do get out of our own head. Otherwise, you and I couldn't even have this conversation.
Well, no, I don't think that that's true. I think that I live my entire life inside my own head, and so do you. I can make guesses based on my experience as to what your experience might be like, but I can't know that for sure.
Well, again, there's the for sure thing that you're throwing on the end, but
I know. I
thought
about it as I was saying it.
Yeah, I think just by good reason, if we're all looking at yellow, or we're all looking at a tree and everyone says it's a tree, then there's this thing known as universal. And while, I can't physically get in your head, we can both assume that we have the similar experience when we see a tree, because everyone goes, yep, that's a tree. So I don't know why there's any reason to doubt that. It would seem to require greater skepticism to doubt your own experience than just about anything else.
Well, I think there's a lot of times where our experience is worth doubting. I mean, if you remember having small children where you don't get enough sleep, and like for days and days and days you don't sleep properly.
You've got a 2-year-old in the house, Jon, don't you?
I've got a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old. We had them 17 months apart, and I don't recommend having kids that close together. But if you're super sleep deprived, or if there's psychological problems, like there's many reasons that you could come to doubt your own experience.
Oh yeah, sure. But we're talking when people are in their sound mind. Of course there are exceptions.